Welcome to Inside Insights, your quick hit of tips, tools, and trends for manufacturing, distribution, and Dynamics 365 Business Central. Brought to you by InsightWorks.
Imagine trying to keep track of 450,000 tons of physical material, like every single year.
I mean, that is just a staggering amount of stuff to even picture.
Right. Picture the sheer scale of that for a second. You are standing in the middle of this massive industrial facility, and there is just a relentless, never-ending river of pallets, crates, and shipping containers flowing right past you.
Just absolute constant motion.
Exactly. Now imagine trying to manage all of that when your master computer system, like the central brain of your entire operation, is completely blind to what is actually sitting on your warehouse floor at any given moment.
Oh, man. That is a terrifying thought for any logistics manager.
Right. You have spreadsheets and databases telling you one thing, and then the physical reality of the concrete floor telling you something completely different.
And it is an incredibly common and incredibly expensive nightmare for businesses. Like, the digital map looks perfectly organized up in the office, but the physical territory out in the yard is just total chaos.
Yeah, massive gap between the software and the reality.
Exactly. And when you have that gap, you end up spending enormous amounts of time, money, and human effort just, trying to manually build a bridge between the two.
Which brings us to the exact focus of our deep dive today. We're looking at how a company facing that precise nightmare managed to completely rebuild their digital infrastructure.
It is quite a story.
It really is. Our source material today is this really comprehensive business case study titled VIPA Hellas Case Study. And our mission here: to unpack exactly how unifying disconnected software can cure some of the worst operational headaches imaginable.
Yeah, we are going to look at the underlying nuts and bolts of how this works.
Exactly, using this case study as the ultimate blueprint for making your digital tools actually reflect the real world. Okay, let's unpack this.
We really need to start by looking at the raw numbers here because, well, the scale of the problem totally dictates the complexity of the solution.
Right. So the subject of this case study is a company called VIPA Hellas. They were established in Athens in 2013, and they are a major player in the recycling and recovered materials industry.
And when the case study says major player, they are not exaggerating at all.
Not even a little bit. I mean, they are moving 450,000 tons of recovered, non-hazardous recyclable materials, paper, board products, and pulp annually.
Yeah, it's massive. But, the volume isn't even the trickiest part, is it?
No, it's really the specific way they have to move it.
That is the core of the issue right there. VIPA Hellas operates in what the industry calls a strictly container-driven environment.
Okay, let's pause and define that for a second because it sounds simple, but it fundamentally changes the math on how a business operates.
Oh, it changes absolutely everything. So think about it like this. Most standard warehouse software is built around individual items.
Right, like standard retail stuff.
Exactly. You have a widget, you put the widget on a shelf, and then eventually you sell the widget. But VIPA doesn't deal in single widgets at all. Everything moves, is tracked, and is sold by the container.
And a container is not just a simple box.
Far from it. A container is a massive, complex entity. It might hold multiple different lots of recycled pulp, and each of those lots has different weights, different origins, different quality grades.
Wow.
Yeah, so the container itself is actually the unit of business.
So standard off-the-shelf software just, it doesn't know how to think in terms of these massive multivariable containers.
Precisely. It's totally foreign to a standard system. And that leads us to the fundamental flaw in VIPA's old setup. They had this massive glaring divide in their digital infrastructure.
The brain and the muscle were totally separated.
Exactly. So they were running a warehouse management system, or a WMS.
Which is the muscle.
Right. The WMS is essentially the operational muscle of a business. It tells the forklift drivers where things are physically located on the warehouse racks.
Mm-hmm.
But their main enterprise software, their ERP...
the Enterprise Resource Planning System.
Yeah, basically the financial and administrative brain of the company. It was a completely separate entity.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, their ERP was Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central.
So the brain and the muscle were entirely disconnected.
No integration whatsoever. None. So just think about the mechanics of that for a second. You have a relentless physical flow of hundreds of thousands of tons of material.
Moving constantly.
Moving constantly. And every single time a container is moved, packed, or shipped by the muscle out on the floor, a human being has to sit at a desk and manually type that movement into the financial brain just to reconcile the data.
Ugh, which is just a recipe for absolute operational misery.
It's a nightmare.
And the real-world fallout of this manual reconciliation, according to the case study, was just brutal. Let's look at their inventory counts as an example.
Oh, this part is wild.
Right. When they had to actually go out to the warehouse floor and verify what they physically had, it required multiple staff members and took 2 to 3 excruciating days to complete.
Just massive amounts of downtime.
2 to 3 days of just counting and double-checking everything by hand.
Because you can never trust either system completely when they don't talk to each other.
You're just guessing.
Yeah, you are constantly trying to figure out, is the WMS lagging behind the ERP, or maybe the ERP has a typo that the WMS doesn't?
And it went way beyond just counting stuff. I mean, even the generation of barcodes, which is the very foundation of how you track physical items in any modern facility that was happening entirely outside of their core system.
Which introduces a massive risk of duplication.
It's like playing a high-stakes game of blindfolded Tetris.
That's a good way to put it.
Imagine you are managing this enormous shipping yard. You have a beautiful, pristine master map up in the main office, but it doesn't talk to the walkie-talkies that the actual workers are using out in the rain on the ground.
Right.
Right. So a forklift driver moves a massive shipping container, they scribble the new location down on a clipboard, and then, hours later, someone in the office has to squint at that clipboard and manually type the new location into the master map.
Yeah.
You are making moves in the dark, just hoping that by the time you drop your Tetris piece, the rest of the board is actually where you think it is.
That is a phenomenal way to visualize it.
Yeah.
I mean, you are introducing all this latency into a physical environment that demands real-time precision.
It's just inherently broken.
When you have a gap like that, your business is no longer running on accurate data. It is running on the sheer manual effort of people desperately trying to keep the data from falling completely out of sync.
So if you are the management team at VIPA Hellas, how do you even begin to fix a disconnect, this catastrophic?
It's a huge undertaking.
Because you have this massive operation that is already running at full speed. You cannot exactly just, hit the pause button on 450,000 tons of material while you spend a year figuring out a new software architecture.
No, you definitely can't. You need a surgical intervention. And this is where the strategic concept of build versus buy comes into focus.
Okay, build versus buy.
Right. VIPA Hellas recognized early on that they couldn't do this internally. They brought in 2 key partners to architect this fix. The first was BWise SA, who acted as the primary Microsoft partner leading the entire implementation.
Or the second one.
The second partner was InsightWorks, which is an independent software vendor, or an ISV, that specializes specifically in building warehouse applications for the Business Central platform.
Now, hold on. This is where I actually want to push back a little bit.
Okay, go ahead.
If you are VIPA Hellas, right, a massive company with a highly bespoke, container-driven operational model, why on earth would you piece together a solution using third-party apps?
I see where you're going with this.
If I have a highly unique business, shouldn't I just hire a team of developers and build a proprietary system completely from scratch? Like if you buy off-the-shelf software for your warehouse foundation, aren't you forced to change your unique business processes to fit the software's generic defaults? Doesn't that kind of defeat the purpose of having a specialized container business in the first place?
It's a totally fair question. But what's fascinating here is how they circumvented that exact trap. The brilliance of this hybrid approach lies in understanding exactly what needs to be custom and what doesn't.
Okay, explain that.
Well, Microsoft Business Central is designed with a highly modular architecture, so it allows independent vendors like InsightWorks to build really robust plugins that handle universal warehouse functions.
Standard stuff.
Right. The case study actually includes a really crucial quote from Antonis Kakavas. He's the ERP technical lead at BWise SA.
What do you say?
He stated, and I'm paraphrasing a bit here, but he said they identified that InsightWorks apps would address most of VIPA's standard operational requirements with minimal custom development. And this enabled his team to focus all their custom development strictly on the container-specific business processes, while relying on the proven InsightWorks solutions for the basic warehouse management.
Okay. I see where this is going now. It's all about the strategic allocation of your developer brainpower.
Exactly the point. Think about the underlying mechanics of any warehouse. scanning a barcode, sending that data over Wi-Fi, integrating mobile devices.
Stuff everyone has to do.
Yeah, those are incredibly complex things to program from scratch, but they're universal. Literally every modern warehouse does them.
Right.
If the developers at BY's SA spent all their time coding the basic physics of how a scanner talks to a server, they would burn through their whole budget before they ever got to VIPA's actual unique problem.
Which is the complex logic of the containers themselves. It's like trying to run a highly specialized custom bakery, but you decide you need to spend 80% of your time mining your own salt and milling your own flour.
Yes.
You just buy the flour off the shelf so you can focus all your energy on perfecting the actual recipe.
That is the perfect analogy. You leverage proven out-of-the-box solutions for the foundational tasks so you can hyper-focus your custom engineering strictly where it creates real competitive business value.
Okay, the build versus buy strategy makes total sense when you break it down like that. Buy the foundational warehouse physics, build the custom container logic on top of it.
Exactly.
So let's look at the actual tools that executed this vision. Because a strategy on a whiteboard is great, but how did they actually shrink those agonizing multi-day inventory counts down to just a few hours?
Right, let's get into the mechanics. It begins by fundamentally changing where the data enters the system.
Okay.
Instead of data entering at a desk, hours after an event happened out in the yard, you put the system directly into the hands of the workers on the floor.
Ah, I see.
VIPA deployed several targeted apps from InsightWorks that run natively inside their Business Central ERP. And the flagship application they used for this is called Warehouse Insight.
And just to clarify for everyone listening, we are not talking about a desktop application here. This is built specifically for mobility.
Yes, absolutely. The warehouse teams were equipped with rugged mobile devices running this app, so it allows them to execute all their core tasks, receipts, putaways, picks, movements, shipping, all in real time, right there on the floor.
Let's actually define some of those terms for anyone listening who might be outside the logistics world. When the case study talks about optimizing putaways and picks, what are we actually describing happening on the floor?
Sure. So a putaway is the process of receiving new material and finding the optimal place to store it.
It's not just dropping a pallet wherever there's an empty spot.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
The system logic dictates exactly where it should go based on things like turnover rates or weight, so it doesn't accidentally block tomorrow's shipments.
Okay, and a pick.
A pick is just the reverse. It's grabbing the exact right materials from the warehouse to fulfill a specific customer order.
Got it. And with this Warehouse Insight app, the moment a forklift driver completes a put-away into a specific container, they scan it, and the master ERP system knows about it instantly.
Instantaneously.
The brain and the muscle are finally synchronized.
Instant synchronization at the item, lot, and container level, which actually leads us directly to the second major application they used, which is called Advanced Inventory Count.
Okay, what does that do?
This is the tool that cured the multi-day counting headache. It replaced all their chaotic, paper-based audits with what the case study calls structured physical and cycle counts.
And a cycle count, just to be clear for you listening, is when you count small, specific sections of your inventory on a regular rotating basis throughout the year, rather than, shutting down the entire facility once a year to count every single thing at once.
Precisely. It's way more efficient. The app allows for multi-user entry, flexible count sheets, and it automates the reconciliation of all those really complex lot and serial numbers.
Here's where it gets really interesting to me.
Yeah.
The case study notes, they went from taking 2 or 3 days to complete an inventory count to just a matter of hours, and they achieved that with fewer staff members.
It's a huge leap.
I want to drill down into the mechanics of that. How exactly does simply handing a worker a mobile scanning device literally shave days off a physical counting process? What is the actual mechanism driving that massive time reduction?
It is a really great question because it's not just about typing numbers into a screen instead of writing them on a piece of paper. It is about fundamentally eliminating the secondary and tertiary tasks that paper inherently creates.
Okay, walk me through that.
Let's trace the life cycle of a manual count. First, a worker walks the floor, finds a container, and writes down a lot number. That takes time. Second, they have to physically transport that clipboard all the way to the back office. More time. Third, an administrator has to try and read their handwriting and manually type those numbers into the ERP system.
Which introduces a massive opportunity for human error, like typing a 5 instead of an 8, or just missing a decimal point completely.
Exactly. And that error is where the real-time drain happens.
Yeah.
Because once that typo goes into the system, the ERP realizes there is a discrepancy between what was just typed in and what the system thought was supposed to be in that container.
Right. So what has to happen next?
Someone has to put their boots on, walk all the way back out to the warehouse floor, and physically double-check that specific container.
Ugh, yes. You become trapped in this endless, miserable loop of paper shuffling, manual data entry, error generation, and physical double-checking.
It's awful. But what Advanced Inventory Count does by utilizing mobile devices and barcode-driven workflows is collapse all those separate steps into a single real-time action.
Yes.
A worker scans the barcode on the container. The mobile device instantly pings the central database over Wi-Fi. The database runs a validation check in milliseconds.
Okay.
And if there is a discrepancy, say, the scanner reads lot A, but the system expects lot B, the device alerts the worker immediately, right there on the floor.
Oh, wow. So they investigate and reconcile the anomaly in the moment while they are already standing right in front of the container.
Exactly, the mechanism. You aren't just moving faster. You are entirely removing the layers of administrative friction and error correction that bog down traditional audits. You are solving the problem at the absolute point of origin.
Rather than waiting to uncover the problem 3 days later buried in a spreadsheet.
Precisely.
That makes perfect sense. So you have given the workers these mobile scanners, and the data is finally flowing in real time, but that data flow is only as good as the underlying infrastructure, right?
Very true.
Like if your background processes are still messy, those fast scanners are just going to feed bad data into your system faster. Which brings us to the next phase of this transformation.
Good background infrastructure.
Yeah.
Yeah, the case study highlights 3 specific tools that are really fascinating because they function as the unsung heroes of this whole operation.
What are they called?
InsightWorks calls them power tools. And it's important to note here that they provide these specific applications as completely free additions to the Business Central environment.
Oh, wow. Free is always good. Let's look at what these power tools actually do, starting with the barcode generator. Because remember, VIPA used to generate their barcodes in a totally separate program, which is terrifying for data integrity.
It's a huge risk.
This power tool embeds 1D and 2D barcodes directly into the core Business Central reports. Now, I see 1D and 2D thrown around a lot. Why does upgrading to a 2D barcode actually matter for a company dealing with massive containers?
It really just comes down to data density. A standard 1D barcode like the UPC code on a box of cereal at the grocery store.
Right.
That is basically just a license plate. It's a simple string of numbers that says, I am item 1, 2, 3. But a 2D barcode, like a QR code or a data matrix, that can hold vast amounts of embedded information. It can say, I am item 1, 2, 3 from lot 4, 5, 6. I contain 500 kilograms of recycled pulp, and I was processed on this specific date.
Oh, wow. That makes a huge difference.
Yeah, for VIPA, being able to generate that dense data natively inside the system is absolutely crucial for tracking those complex containers.
That makes sense. The second tool they used is the import-export power tool, which the case study notes replaced all their manual, duct-tape spreadsheet workarounds with structured, validated bulk data operations directly inside the ERP.
Super important for keeping the data clean.
But it is the third tool I really want to highlight here because it perfectly illustrates this concept of operational micro-frictions. It's called the print node connector power tool.
Ah, yes. This is a seemingly small feature that actually solves a massive architectural headache.
Right. The underlying issue was that Business Central is a cloud-based system. The servers are sitting in a data center somewhere far away, but the physical label printers are sitting on local IP addresses right there on the warehouse floor.
And standard web browsers really struggle to bridge that gap.
Exactly. So to print a simple shipping label, workers were having to generate a file, convert it to a PDF, download that PDF to a local machine, open it, and then finally hit print.
Which, sounds like a very minor inconvenience.
It sounds like nothing. Like if you do that once a week in your home office, it takes 10 seconds. It is a tiny paper cut of an annoyance.
Right.
But when you're moving 450,000 tons of material, multiply that 10-second PDF conversion by thousands of labels a day across dozens of workers.
It adds up fast.
Suddenly, that tiny paper cut becomes a massive arterial hemorrhage of time and focus. The print node connector establishes a secure network bridge. It allows direct cloud printing, no more PDFs. A worker hits print on their scanner, and the label instantly comes out of the printer on the floor.
If we connect these power tools to the bigger picture, this is fundamentally a story about system integrity. These aren't just minor quality of life upgrades, they are structural necessities.
Yeah.
When you have disconnected background processes, you are just inviting chaos into your database. By standardizing these micro-frictions, VIPA ensured that the data feeding their massive logistics machine was absolutely pristine.
Okay, so we have the heavy lifting apps out on the floor capturing the data, and we have these crucial power tools cleaning up the background infrastructure. How does this all actually culminate?
This is the best part.
Because having a bunch of great data flowing in is cool, but if the people in the office can't easily parse that data, you just have a different kind of mess.
Totally. And this brings us to the climax of the whole transformation. How did BY say use this new pristine data? Well, they broke down the data silos and they built a custom user interface, creating a consolidated allocation view.
The case study refers to this as the OneView transformation. How did they structurally unite this data?
It is all about relational database mechanics.
Ah,
So in the past, the sales module and the warehouse module were totally siloed.
okay.
If a customer called a sales rep wanting, say, 50 tons of a specific recycled board product, the rep would have to go on this digital scavenger hunt.
Sounds fun.
Not at all. They would check one screen to see if they technically own the product, another screen to see where it might physically be, and then they'd likely have to make a phone call to the warehouse manager just to verify that a forklift driver hadn't already moved it for someone else's order.
Because the inventory in the system was essentially just theoretical until a human manually confirmed it.
Exactly. But by unifying the environment, the custom UI allows the sales module and the warehouse module to query the exact same data tables simultaneously with zero latency.
Wow.
A sales rep can pull up a single consolidated view directly inside Business Central. They can see the available containers, the exact lot contents, and critically, the real-time reservation data.
So they aren't guessing anymore.
No guessing. They are querying the exact barcode that a forklift driver scanned 5 seconds ago. They can make informed allocation decisions instantly, knowing with absolute certainty that the container is actually there and available.
So what does this all mean for the actual people working at VIPA Hellas? The case study notes the system was fully deployed in Q2 of 2025. Picking accuracy skyrocketed, operations were fully digitized, and as we discussed, counts shrank from days to hours.
Huge wins all around.
But here's the detail that stood out to me the most.
What's that?
Usually, when corporate management drops a massive new digital system onto a warehouse floor, morale plummets. Change management is notoriously difficult. Workers often feel like the new software is just an administrative burden getting in the way of their actual jobs.
Very true.
Yet the case study explicitly states that user adoption went, quote, better than expected, and the client gave the deployment a perfect 5 out of 5 rating. Why? Why didn't the warehouse staff rebel against this new system?
It's a great question. And it's because the new environment provided something workers deeply appreciate when it's done right. It provided clear, logical structure that actually matched their reality.
Okay.
This wasn't a case of management forcing a generic, rigid piece of software onto a complex business and demanding the workers change their habits to appease the computer. The brilliance of what BY's as an InsightWorks achieved was building the software architecture around the actual physical shape of the business.
They built it around the container.
Yes, the system was designed from the ground up to think in terms of containers, just like the warehouse workers do every single day.
That makes so much sense.
When your digital tools natively understand the physical reality of your workday, it doesn't feel like an imposition. It feels like a relief. The workers weren't fighting the system's logic anymore. The system was finally supporting their actual workflow.
It is the stark difference between software acting as a chore and software acting as a true tool. You can really hear the impact of that relief in the concluding quote from Charlampos Chatsidamianos, the CFO of VIPA Hellas. He stated, "Before implementing the solution, we struggled with limited visibility and control over our container-based warehouse operations. With Warehouse Insight and the supporting apps, we now have real-time, structured processes and full traceability across all operations."
I mean, from an operational standpoint, that is a journey from darkness into light.
Really?
Going from limited delayed visibility to full real-time traceability is a monumental shift for a company managing 450,000 tons of physical inventory.
It really is an incredible blueprint. So to quickly recap this journey for you listening, VIPA Hellas started with a chaotic, disconnected, multi-day inventory nightmare. Their digital brain and their physical muscle were completely divorced.
Wholly separate.
But by utilizing targeted Microsoft and InsightWorks integrations, basically buying the proven warehouse foundation so they could focus their engineering on building the custom container logic, they turned that chaos into a seamless, real-time digital machine. They brought the digital map and the physical territory back into perfect alignment.
Which naturally leads to a much broader and frankly provocative question about the future of enterprise software.
Oh, what's that?
Well, if a complex recycling plant dealing with hundreds of thousands of tons of physical scrap material can achieve perfect, real-time digital traceability, what happens next?
Right.
As artificial intelligence becomes more deeply integrated into these ERP systems, these unified OneView dashboards are really just step one.
Oh, I see what you mean. Once the map perfectly matches the territory in real time, the AI can actually take the wheel.
Exactly. The next step isn't just human sales reps making better allocation decisions. It is the software itself predicting bottlenecks, analyzing historical flow, and autonomously routing containers before the forklift driver even turns the key in the ignition.
That is a fascinating thought to leave on. Once you cure the data disconnect, you open the door for true predictive automation. It really makes you look at your own workflows and wonder where the digital map is failing the physical territory and what you might be able to achieve if you finally connected the two.
Absolutely.
Well, we hope this deep dive gave you some valuable new frameworks to think about your own processes and maybe inspired you to stop playing blindfolded Tetris with your own inventory. Thank you so much for joining us as we unpack this case study and keep looking for those hidden connections in your own work. Until next time.